Hey, part two, talking about last night's game and tendencies, ALCS, NLCS World Series. The game is changing, and with the relievers. And I thought something's interesting, and it's happened quite a bit. It's probably happened 4 or 5 times. It happened last night. And honestly, if you're going to use those guys that are throwing 96, 97, and your best pitchers are the Prices and the Kershaws and the Sales and everything like that, if you need an inning, it used to be, in the old days, I start on Monday, I'm starting again with 5 days rest. I'm starting on Sunday, okay? And on Wednesday, I go in the afternoon with the coach, and I throw my 60, 70, 80 pitch hard bullpen, rest for 2 days, and then I'm starting again because it's your in-between game bullpen, hard bullpen. I mean, not just you throw every day, but you really throw a real bullpen. Now, those guys are throwing the bullpen, certain ones, they're throwing their bullpens in the 6th or 7th innings. They're not throwing it in the afternoon, and all of a sudden, hey, so-and-so's warming up in the pen. No, he's not. He's just getting his bullpen in because he was ready. And what happened yesterday with Uvalde?
Uvalde came in.
Hey, he's getting his 50 or 60. He throws 40 of them in the pen. He comes in and throws 20 of them in a game, and now he's starting Friday, good to go, game 3.
Yeah, that's a new approach for sure.
Yeah, but if you've got Uvalde and he's going to be throwing a hard bullpen,
why not?
Why not let him do it?
Yeah, I guess the only thought is, I guess the reason why they didn't do it beforehand was, well, he's not throwing under stress.
That's a good point.
You know, he doesn't have to make.
They throw simulated batters.
Right,
I mean, it's a legit.
But it's not. But it's not
it's
the same.
Bullpen.
It's a bullpen. If they're off that day. You know, if they're off this much that day, who cares? If the balls are that much, not where they're going to be. If it's the World Series game and you're off that much, could be the difference in you winning and losing. So it's a lot more pressure on the arm, a lot more pressure to concentrate.
But those guys aren't. I mean, pressure. I mean, watching a thing on Oral Hershiser coming back in relief and everything, he goes, I told Tom I was ready to go. I had so much adrenaline. I had pitched the night before, but I had so much adrenaline. I knew I had 10 or 15 pitches in me. And that's the Bulldog. That's the mentality. That's Uvalde last night. He was, you know.
Well, I mean, you got the same thing. The last time these two teams faced each other in the World Series was way back when Babe was still pitching, and he pitched the 13-inning game.
And the Dodgers were in Brooklyn.
You know, so.
I remember that.
But the 13-inning game, you know, and then the next series or whatever, somebody threw like 200 pitches in a game.
Yeah.
And it's a starting pitcher. You know, there's a different mindset back then because you weren't throwing at 96 and you weren't stressing the arm quite as much as they are today. And that's what I worry about in those situations where a guy's going out. When he's just throwing a bullpen, he's not trying to throw 95.
Oh, no. Those between starts are legit bullpen.
Right, but if he throws 93, he's okay with that. He's not going to go, well, shoot, I need to jack it up a little bit more. He's just not going to do that if his arm's not there that day. But if he goes out there to pitch, he's going to go out there to pitch, and he's going to throw as hard as he can.
But we're seeing that.
We are.
The game has completely changed.
That's right. Uvalde pitching last night, I was surprised when I looked at the scores this morning because I went to bed before he pitched.
Well, and
that was another thing. The games are so late.
Sure, you got so many because there's a difference between pinch hitting and bringing in the pitcher and doing it between innings like they're doing it every time. It's one batter. And he is going to go through the 7-hole batter, and I'm taking him out on the 8th regardless of what happens.
And that's true, too. I mean, you figure that he's limited on the number of pitches he's going to throw. It's not like he's going to stick him in there.
Well, because he needs them 3 days from now.
Right. It's just going to get the work in, just going to get him lathered up and let him go out there and throw 2 batters or 3 batters and be done with it. Yep. And if he gets them out, great. And if he doesn't, okay, we got another guy in the pen, we'll go to him. I don't have any problem with it. I think guys don't mind it. You got a limited roster anyway. It's not like you got an unlimited roster. You can't have all these pitchers that are down there in the bullpen. So it saves you another option.
Is it easier on the young guys? The pressure.
Well, yeah.
All you've got to do is face 3. Come in, throw 3 guys.
So, yeah.
I would think so. You know what you got to do, and you got the scouting report, and the guy out in the bullpen's going over this guy. Here, so I want to approach this guy, and this guy, and go get him.
It was cracking me up in the Dodgers. I think it was Grandal when he came in, and he had like the quarterback thing on his wrist, and to know who to pitch to and what. I'm thinking, man,
they know exactly
did Johnny
where to go, what to do.
It's like they know exactly what to do.
No, he didn't know that.
So
but he had none.
Pre-game show last night watching on
Yep.
ESPN, and you got Ravitch and Teixeira and
David Ross.
and I was going to say Cody Ross, but it was David Ross.
David Ross.
David Ross.
Go Gators.
And they're talking about Bueller and talking about young pitchers and exactly what we're talking about. Coming in, short thing. This is a guy that can make a difference. You know, Bueller and Uvalde wound up being on a team full of Prices and Sales and Kershaw's. And those are the two guys that really led their team pitching-wise in the previous series. And you know, young guys come in and the managers have confidence and they're going to get thrown. So Ravitch decides to drop a few names in there, you know, and says, well, you know, I just ran into Jim Leland a little earlier today. And I think it was the same case in 2003 with Josh Beckett and his young guys. He had confidence. He brought in Beckett. Beckett delivered the World Series for him.
There's a problem with that.
There's a
Thank you
problem
for
with that,
playing.
Carl Ravitch.
Thank you for playing.
Did anybody point out to Carl Ravitch the problem?
No.
No one called him out?
No, and as a matter of fact, he later on came, whether it's Roberts and Bueller or Beckett and Leland, he goes, managers have confidence in those young
Beckett
guys.
didn't pitch for Leland.
No. Leland was gone by 98. By 2003, it was Jack McKeon who managed that team
Yep.
to the World Series
Yeah.
against the Yankees. And I don't know if it was
Was it a mix-up of that because...
No, because
No.
it was Beckett. It was on 2003.
Well, I understand that, but Leland had his guy. Leland had his rookie, too.
LeBron
Some
Hernandez
guy
won
named
MVP.
Hernandez.
He could have, but no. It was just I wanted to drop a name.
Well, if you dropped the name, you still could have dropped it the right way. He could have dropped it with Hernandez and still made the same
And
point.
said 97.
And then he came
Nice
back with
stuff.
I'm surprised the producer wasn't in his ear, Carl. I mean, you know, it's like, come on.
Ravitch doesn't make those mistakes.
No,
No.
it was surprising.
But nobody called him out.
Nobody called him out on it.
Nobody ever pointed out. He never came back
Until
and said,
3-ball walk is bringing it to you guys.
Carl, you're going to have to apologize,
tighten
buddy.
up, tighten up.
Yeah, I'm
I wanna
sorry.
say it today. Hey,
I like it.
yesterday I inadvertently mentioned Jim Leland managing the 2003 Marlins.
He did not manage the 2003 Marlins.
He was
No.
getting ready to take the
Detroit.
Tigers
Tigers.
Captain
to
Jack.
the World Series the following year.
Yeah, it was right there. I mean, so, well, you know, we all make mistakes. We all get our years wrong. We all get our facts wrong, which is kind of strange for him, though. And the thing to me is not that he made a mistake. The thing to me is that nobody...
It was unscripted because if somebody would have seen it, there's
Well-
no way you missed that.
But ESPN has all these crack people behind the scenes that do stats and stuff. Somebody should have said, wait a minute, that ain't right. That's not right.
On
Think so.
commercial, they did, and then is it up to him to come back and?
Then, well, at
and
some point
admit
you
the
got
mistake?
to. At some point you got to say
Who caught it?
you did.
No, but besides, I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
You catch that?
If anybody caught it, if somebody caught it, they needed to go to Ravi and say, "Ravi, okay, this wasn't right." And they didn't make a lot of joke of it or whatever. And, you know, they had a couple of guys who could have done that. David Ross could have said, "Man, that was a really talented job to make that change all the way from Detroit."
Yeah. Way to go.
Way to go. I mean, you're managing two teams at once. That's pretty impressive. You know, he could have said something like that, and then Ravi could go, yeah, I totally missed it. You know, they could have waited to save that at that point. Just say, hey, we made a mistake.
And I don't know. I mean, yeah. But yeah, and that was dropping names. He ran
Well-
it. So Jim Leland is, who, by the way, Jim Leland, Dave Dombrowski, that was his favorite manager. I mean, that's why Jim and Dave looking
Looking good again.
champagne out there and having a good time. The dude can build some teams.
He
He
can.
flat out build some teams.
And I, you know, we talked about it last week when we talked about the series, who was going to win. We think we both said the Dodgers and
Yep, the Red Sox.
the Red Sox.
Yeah.
You took the
I was gonna call him out on that.
you took the
I went
Brewers.
both. I had another, and I don't
And
know
the
if he's a
Astros.
viewer, but we're dropping names of fans and everything. We got you know, a buddy of mine who says, "Hey, who you got in the World Series?" Because he thinks I know about baseball. And I said, "Well, I had the Brewers and Astros, so don't ask me."
Should ask us.
Astros in Boston in 5. Why 5?
I picked it right.
Did you say Boston in 5?
I
No,
picked-
right now Boston in 5.
No, that was Zach. Zach
Boston
Allen
in
said,
5 because if you'll notice, all the series have been clinched on the road.
Zach said they were going to sweep if they win
They've
tonight.
all been-
If they win tonight, they sweep.
No,
I agree.
Zach said they would sweep if they win tonight. If Price goes 5 2/3 and they win, that was his caveat. He goes 5 2/3 and they win, which he said, I think if he goes 5 2/3, they win. And I asked him why, and he said, I don't know, it's just a gut feeling. He didn't have, you know, I was like, you know, it's because the bullpen is taxed, but he's
here's
like,
the thing.
no, I'm
Let's
just
take
thinking
take predictions tonight. Does Roberts do the same thing? Bellinger and Muncy, are they on the bench? You got Price.
Yes, I think he probably
Really?
does. I think he probably.
I think he sticks with it.
I think he sticks with it. I personally would not. I think Bellinger should be in there. I think anybody but Grandal. Grandal should not be behind the plate. DH Grandal if you want to. He can't catch the baseball, and he can't hit. Why is he in the?
Well, if you're going to DH him and he can't hit, why would you do
That's
that?
what I'm saying. He doesn't need to be on the field. Is my point. But if you're going to put him in the game, I mean, go ahead and pinch hit or DH him. But Grandal is a liability, in my opinion. But I think he does the same thing. I think baseball's got, like we talked about earlier. Let's play the numbers and
Cybermetrics.
Right. The micromanaging, it annoys me. I'm a baseball fan.
My only thing is you're trying to build fans back, and it makes the game drag.
Completely.
And you're looking at different ways to speed up the game, which I've never been, well, the one thing, what am I always marking? Hey, hopefully that was the last one I will ever see. What am I always talking about?
Ball four?
It happened twice last night.
Yeah.
Who will be the first? But that's one rule that I hate.
Yep.
And fortunately, it's gone after 1 year.
Thank goodness.
Who's going to be the last guy ever in the history of baseball to be pointed down to first base?
Somebody in the last game of this
It's
series.
Monty
probably.
Grandal. No, I'm kidding.
I don't think you're going to walk him, but I think
You think
JD
there'll be some
Martinez.
Mookie Betts, or
Betts or Martinez.
Who? The Red Sox had
Yeah.
2 last night.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I think they got really hot hitters. I think I'm going to say that it's going to go 6 games. I'm going to say it's going to come back.
Go back to Boston.
Go back to Boston, and I think Boston's going to win at 6. I think Boston's going to win. I think they're the better team.
They are the better team. Yeah.
So if Boston wins tonight, you think LA will win 2 of 3 at home?
I think they'll win 2 of 3 at home. Yeah, I think it'll be, hopefully the crowd will be there, and they won't get called out again by their own players of how sorry the crowd was like the series. I mean, you know what? I hate when you do that. Players, let me just say, I hate that. If the crowd is flat, cause you're flat. They don't get to bat. You bat. You get 2 hits together and you
So
watch the
Kirk
crowd.
Gibson hits a home run in the bottom of the ninth to win the game, and all of a sudden, as the ball's going out, you see all the brake lights slamming out in the parking lot. That's the Dodgers' fault.
Why would the brake lights be on out there?
Because there was like 20,000 people that were no longer
That
at
had
the
left?
game. They had left.
That's
Watch that video. It's hilarious. I mean, the parking lot is just full of cars leaving. That's Dodger Stadium.
well.
And it's not the Dodgers' fault. It's just the LA mentality.
Well, what I'm saying is, if the players, you
They show
can't,
up late.
you can't blame the fans for sitting on their hands when you did nothing the entire game. It's not like it. You do the same thing that happens in football games. It drives me crazy. You go to a Gator football game and people say, "Oh, the crowd was down today." Well, the crowd's down today, or the team was flat. If the team gets all jacked up and they start playing really well, you don't have to dance around in between plays. The crowd will be into it if you sack the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
If you hit a 3-run homer, the crowd's
They're
into
gonna
it.
get into
it.
The crowd's going to be into it. If you get up in the first inning and you put together a string of 7 straight hits, the crowd's going to be into it.
That was one of the things in the last game in Milwaukee when the Dodgers took the lead. It got real quiet.
It gets quiet.
Quick.
I got a question for you, and I'm glad you mentioned that because that's where I was going to go in closing as we put a wrap on every team except for the Red Sox and the Dodgers. The Brewers and the Astros, they'll be back?
In the playoffs? Yes.
I mean, those
I think
teams.
so. Yes, they'll be back.
I'm sure there'll be some changes in the lineup, some minor changes, but I think they're 2 good teams. They'll still be back. A lot of things will depend on what happens with Kershaw and a few other big players, Machado and Trout, Bryce Harper. I think those players could make a difference on some teams.
See, I think that it will be easier, in my opinion, for the Brewers to get there again than for the Dodgers. Dodgers are starting. I mean,
you think the
This
Dodgers
is
are
their
coming
second
apart?
straight year in the World Series.
that's why.
It's okay.
I don't think. I think if they lose Kershaw, they lose the heart of their team.
Yes.
As much as I'd say they're a better team when Kershaw
I
doesn't
was about to
pitch,
say that.
that is a statistical anomaly. I think he's a.
And
I
the
think he's a heart
Astros?
of it.
They'll be back. They're,
See, I still think Astros
they're strong.
best
Yeah.
team. I still say best team on paper.
Yeah, I don't see. I don't see anybody catching them next
No.
year in their division. So I think they'll win and be a part of it. Although it's close this year.
Yeah.
The A's were
It was-
close.
It was fun.
The A's made a
was
run.
fun.
And we'll see what happens with that. I think, the Braves, I don't know if the Braves can even repeat next year. I don't.
The Braves have a whole lot of money to spend this year. They have
The other 4 teams are going. No, the Phillies are heading.
Phillies
in
are heading in the right
direction.
direction. That's the
Phillies are
team
heading
that
in the
worries
right
me.
direction.
The Phillies are the team that worries me in that division.
You know, one of the other things that I think is interesting at Fenway, right center field, they got the standings. You know, the standings boards.
That
Every
not
time
changed,
they
huh?
shut. What?
The Yankees
It
underneath
hasn't-
them?
Baltimore.
It's not the Yankees
61
underneath them.
out.
It's the on the bottom.
61
Baltimore,
out.
61 games out. Every time I see that, it just cracks me.
They are definitely on them. So
I
hey,
bet you Machado's looking at that going, woo, thank you.
thank you that I'm out of there. Yeah, true. Hey, we're out of time. We'll be back next
It
week
was fun.
maybe for the final one.